So the One Direction fans or the fandom, who are phenomenal and they are global, worldwide. Shout out to each and every one of you. They are probably one of the most switched on and smartest fandoms I think I've ever come across in my life. And they too are reading between the lines here and saying, actually, this doesn't sit right. So Ellie Hedman, who wrote the article, again, has very close connections and ties with the big bad wolf. And it all is just very strategic and manipulative.
Hold on.
And
So the big bad wolf is Simon Cowell, right?
yeah, yes. So what happened with Liam, again, God rest his soul, when Liam did Stephen Bartlett's podcast, so Diligent, this is Liam Payne. Honestly, like, I've got goosebumps everywhere. But when Liam Payne did the podcast with Stephen Bartlett, um, he was so raw and authentic and honest and divulged and disclosed a lot of truths. And the big bad wolf, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that at all. Now, I'm not putting anything out there for people to put two and two together. However, um, I, I can't for the life of me come up with any other reason as to why or how, you know, it, it's just very disturbing. I wish that I had the brain power at the minute to even go into the coercive behavior. Look, Cal, and I'll say this very openly, he is like an Epstein or a Weinstein or a Peter Mandelson, or he's very, very clever, but strategic. He's got a lot of people up his sleeves, and he knows how to keep his hands clean. The time will come very soon. Now, the reason why I say this about Liam is because Stephen Bartlett was managed by a guy called Jonathan Shalit. Shout out Jonathan Shalit, but also best friends with Simon Cowell.
Passed away very young.
Mhm.
Was it self-inflicted? Was it drugs and alcohol?
No.
Did somebody hurt him?
To be very honest, nobody actually knows truly what happened in that hotel room, that's why I built Owl, OWHL. Remember, I was telling you about Owl, because I wish that he would have had what we both needed at the time of, what was going on. But nobody truly knows. I mean, there's investigations still happening, and this is nobody truly knows. But no, he wasn't one to do that himself at all. It's really sad and really frightening, and the very harsh, cold truth of everything is that even though historically and still to this day, I will say these contracts and these papers aren't worth the paper it's written on, the illusion of it is still very real, and it's very frightening. You don't want to do wrong by anybody, and people assert their positions of power over you, and it is very frightening and very manipulative and coercive. Nikki, I'm trying to bring you up. I don't know what's happening here. And Diligent, thanks for co-hosting. Please jump in whenever you wish.
I can only stay for a while, but yes.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll keep your seat warm. Darren, and thank you, Famous. Darren, you have got your hand up, and thanks Skittles and Beth and Nikki. But again, like everyone that's in this room, I can't believe we have so many amazing people from the fandoms that care so much. Honestly, I can't even begin to tell each and every Darren, like, listen to this. The fandoms globally, worldwide, who I have had the honor and privilege of speaking with over the last few years, have shown me that they have proven that there is strength in numbers, and they've just been unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I'm so honoured that there's so many here. I wish that, please feel free, everyone, to come up and speak. But Darren, over to you,
All
my
right,
love.
yeah, I'm gonna have to go now because when I googled, I was like, "Who is
Yeah,
she?" And I was like, "Oh, is that Zara? I remember her. She started out on Love Island, then she was in Made in Chelsea because she got
yeah,
together with Sam, and then she cheated with Sam when
she did
she had that
not.
spin on X Factor. Yeah, she went to X Factor. It was all in Made in Chelsea, and then she was in Strictly Come Dancing,
Wait,
and then wasn't there
Darren,
a controversy around her with that?
Darren,
Yeah, what happened?
it was positioned in the press and media that she cheated, but the person that was named as that person that she allegedly cheated with, she didn't cheat with this guy. It was the same person who sexually assaulted me.
Oh,
I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Oh,
That's heavy. Same.
very heavy.
That was an accident.
Very heavy.
Katie, thank you so much for being brave enough to like tell us, and there's so many people that probably need to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
oh, Skittles, I've got all the love in the
But
world
yeah,
for you,
one
and
second,
thank
because
you.
I didn't finish what I was going to say. So, did you bring up Zara McDermott? Are they fighting over her? That's what I was trying to get to. Is she going out with one of
No,
those boys?
no, she's going out
Oh,
with Louis Tomlinson. They're in
so
a
she is going
relation.
out with
Yeah,
Louis.
she's going out with
Okay.
Louis.
She's a proper social climber, that one.
Oh, I don't know what to say. God bless her. But also, look, it goes to show that no one knows really what goes on behind closed doors. And this is me being very open and honest. The second that I read that story about the allegations of cheating, and then the person that she allegedly cheated with is the one that did the not very nice things to me. That's when I got in touch and I said, listen, I would just, it's not my place to share on a public platform with lots of people listening. However, and again, I don't have any evidence well, I do have evidence actually, but it's not my story to share. So I have to be quite cautious and protective. However, it just came all at a very peculiar time with Zara's relationship with Louis, because that's when Zara and I were in communications. And I'm very questionable. Like, I'm just think it's all very questionable now with what's going on. And also, the guy that reps Louis is Simon Jones. Now, Simon Jones did the PR for X Factor for a long time. Also, I know Simon Jones because the girl who pretended to be my best friend, who was never who she ever said she was, who also did the crisis PR for Weinstein and Epstein and all of your big bad wolves out there, she was the one that introduced me to him. And they're all like best buds and everything else like this. So it makes me uncomfortable that Louis is still associated with these types of people, given how hard he's worked to be independent as an artist. But now that stories like this are coming out again, where the story even says a source close to the star says, or an insider says, that no, that story is BS. It came from the inside. There is no public statement from either of the boys, and there won't be, because we were never allowed to make a public statement on this. And it's terrifying, and I don't want what happened to Liam, again, like, God bless him, to happen to anybody else. And so I think it's really important that we just, rally together and be smart about this, and make sure that both of them, both Zayn and Louis, feel that they are protected and they're heard and that they're in a safe space, if that makes sense.
Do you mind if I say something that's been on my mind ever since okay, so as fans, especially for myself, because I only came into the fandom like during the pandemic. So I did went down the rabbit hole with 1D. And so but I'm still an outsider. And like you said, don't know, pardon my language, shit about what goes on behind closed doors. I can only go on what I see in the media. That being said, here's a part of what makes my brain go, this Sun article is just another gossip thing and has no basis in truth, or any truth, is just a grain of truth that's been twisted.
What?
If
I'm
I'm
trying to bring
remembering correctly, they're saying that this alleged fight happened when they were filming.
Yeah, allegedly in October 2025.
Okay, so, but then we look at, again, these are just interviews, so I'm just looking at it from the outside. We look at comparatively the interviews that were had with Louis back when him and Zane weren't speaking, because of the fact that Louis was hurt back post 1D because of the way that Zane left. So there was some hurt feelings. And we look at Louis's demeanor, how he preferred not to talk about Zane, would change the subject, would talk very softly. He didn't want to say anything negative about Zane, but he also didn't have a lot of positive to say about him, because he was still, like he even said in one of the interviews, still dealing with a lot of hurt feelings. So we compare that to the way that Louis has been speaking about Zane when it comes to the documentary, when it comes to these PR interviews to promote the album and the tour.